Can you see the pimple on my nose? Can you see it? Is it there? Is it? Yep. Well, the Canon R5C is currently my favorite camera. It's not a perfect camera with the power constraints of it, but it's the camera that I pick up and grab and want to use every day. Like, it excites me. It makes me want to go out and film. Honestly, the C70 that I'm recording with is probably closer to a perfect camera, but it is quite a bit bigger, and I'm scared to break the flippy screen, and I'm still upset I have to have a base plate on it all the time. Also, I ended up with an extra base plate, so if you need one, message me. We can make a deal or something. I don't know. So today I wanted to go over how I rig up the R5C for production. I've now used it on 3 productions and took it on vacation to the Netherlands. Plus, maybe a way that I might be using the R5C not rigged up, but still able to kind of get around some of those power issues, but without a full-on rig. The core of my rig is the Tilta R5C cage. I pre-ordered it when Tilta announced on their Twitter account or something like, we're making a cage specifically for the R5C. It's not just our R5 cage. Pre-order and save like 10%. It saved me like shipping and tax. I do have a few small qualms about this cage. One, you can see I've got gaffer tape under here because the screw is not captive. And if I were to, undo it, the screw would just fall out and I would lose it. So I'm keeping some gaffer tape there to keep the screw in when the camera's not in the cage. The other complaint is there are 2 1/4-20s on the bottom, not a 1/4-20 and a 3/8. What? And it did come with this other little block to put under here, and it does use both of those 1/4-20s, but that block also does not have a 1/4-20 and a 3/8. Like all of my bigger cameras, tripod plates, it's a little 1/4-20 and a bigger 3/8, and it lines it up and it makes it nice. Like why I got 2 1/4-20s, I don't know. It's weird. And the last thing, the cable holder is nice. I'm not going to break a micro HDMI or USB-C cable into my camera, but I've already lost a screw. Again, another non-captive screw, and I lost the little screw for the HDMI cable. Hopefully I won't put monitors on this rig too much. I'm not really a monitor person. I'm more of an EVF person, which also is part of the reason why I really wanted the R5C, and the C70 makes me sad that it doesn't have an EVF. But otherwise, solid cage. I think it's going to protect my camera adequately. Now, the first accessory I put on the cage is the small rig power bank holder. So I have this power bank from Excitrus. I don't know. This is the smallest one with the right amount of wattage to turn on the power delivery settings on the R5C, and I can get 8K 60 with lens control and autofocus. So I've just got that with the 1 screw. Now this clamp does have a 2 screw setup, but because it's a small rig clamp and a Tilta cage, it doesn't quite line up. So I've got it just with the 1 screw, and I can accidentally twist it and make this loose, and then I gotta go get my tool and screw the clamp back on. But I've been careful enough that this holds on all day, doesn't come off. It seems to be working all right. The other nice thing about it in this vertical setup, which I think like if you put this on a small rig cage, they want it to go this way, but I like it this way because I essentially now have 2 grips on the camera when I'm putting it up to my eye for the EVF, and I'm running like totally handheld. The second accessory is this Peak Design kind of hand strap. I love the hand strap on my C70. I loved it on the C200 when I had it, and on the C100 at work. It's great. So I wanted a hand strap for this camera as well. And this Peak Design one is actually mounted upside down. It's meant to go the other way, but I mounted it upside down because I do have the Peak Design little button on the anchor, I think it's called anchor. Yeah. On the camera. So when I put the camera in the cage, I can just attach the hand strap on and have a hand strap like my bigger cameras. So let's put the camera in the cage. Oh, when putting the camera in the cage, if you're going to use the USB-C and the mic port, and you've already got the cable holder on, flip these up first, and it'll make it a little bit easier. They're kind of hard to get to once the camera's already in the cage and that has been closed. This is my first time owning a cage from Tilta. I have some friends who have had one for their C70s and other cameras, and they really liked it. They talked it up, so I was like, well, okay, I'll splurge and spend the extra money on the Tilta cage instead of just a cheap small rig one. And you know, I'm not like terribly impressed. I do like this little screwdriver thing to tighten that screw, but I would trade this for a captive screw that doesn't come out. All right, so I've got my hand strap. It slid into the cage, which is nice. And I'm gonna take the Peak Design anchor, get that in there. So it's a little less comfortable than if it was right side up, but I didn't want to put the anchor on the bottom of the camera or on the bottom of the cage, because then I just have to have an anchor there all the time. And I'm already gonna put 2 anchors for like when I'm using the camera around my neck when I'm doing photos or something. So to round out this rig, I've got a cable for the battery. This is a 1-foot USB-C cable, and I put one of those little magnet ins. You know, when Apple switched all their MacBooks to USB-C only, a bunch of these things came out, and I don't think they're really good for data, but for power, it's fine. So I can, you know, pull this out, and I'm not going to break a USB-C cable inside of my power delivery bank. And I've got the little cable holder from Tilta here. I could tighten that down, but this cable fits pretty much right in there, and I'm not too worried about it. So I'm not going to tighten that screw all the way down. I would, and as you can see, I did for a micro HDMI for one of the productions, because I was feeding this camera into a Blackmagic ATEM Mini. But yeah, when I was taking the HDMI cable out, the screw fell out and I lost it. So I don't know. I gotta get another like M4 screw for this here. And lastly, for scratch audio or for Nat sound, I've got a Rode video mic in TG. So this has been kind of my setup for the productions. 1 in the CMAX studio and 2 little theater productions. Oh, I also replaced the Rode NTG mic cable for one that's a little bit shallower on the right angle. I found these on Amazon. I don't know if they're still available, but I bought like 4 of them just in case. Very happy because now the cable sits flush within the cage, which is really nice. So I'm always worried about breaking a cable off into the camera. I'm trying to minimize that as much as possible. So this is mostly it. I can put a lens on here and put it on a tripod, although I'll put like 2 1/4 screws on the bottom to really lock it into the tripod. And I'm ready to go. And this small power bank gives me about 2.5 to 3 hours of 8K 60. It would probably go longer if I was doing 4K 24, especially in the MP4 settings. But walking around Amsterdam with this camera, I made it about half a day, and then I would swap to another power bank. And then for the productions, it made it the whole production, because it was just 4K, and even one of them I wasn't really internally well, yeah, I was still internally recording, but also sending the HDMI out. Yeah, lasts a good long time, and it's nice and small. So yeah, this is my two-handed grip for handheld recording, and I can put the EVF up to my eye. Works great. But one of the things that I learned on the Amsterdam trip is this is not light. This is pretty heavy. And I was used to just carrying around my EOS R all day with just a small lens and a small mic, and I could go all day and it wasn't very heavy. But this camera with the lens weighs less than this setup. So while I was getting tired, I would put the camera in my left hand and carry it around if we were walking to the next location on vacation. So I wanted to figure out a way to make this a little lighter, a little more compact. So I had another power bank with a metal casing, and it was quite a bit bigger. And I took a cheese plate and I epoxied it to the power bank. So I can take this small rig clamp and stick it right on the bottom of the camera, put this power bank in the clip, and then still be able to mount the whole camera setup to something. So let's swap over to that. I probably need to get another one of these little $20 clamps because now I've got to take this one off the cage and mount it to the bottom of the camera. Small rig multi-tool. So this is just a regular 1/4 I'm going to screw it into the tripod hole on the camera. Make sure it's kind of straight. Yeah. This battery is also quite a bit bigger than the one I'm putting on the cage rig. So on one hand, I should be able to go all freaking day with just this one battery. But on the flip side, I've got to open up this clamp quite a bit to make it fit. Okay, so you might be like, Kyle, why didn't you put the plate right in the middle of the battery bank? And that was because I didn't want it to stick out on this side. I want to be able to hold this and not I have a big hand and sometimes my pinky kind of falls off. I didn't want it to be out here and block my pinky. So I'm going to try to line up. I'm trying to line up this, the middle of this. Yeah, that seems to be working. And now, like I said, I'm worried about protecting the ports. So I have a second one of these little magnet breakaway cables. So I can put the USB-C mounting piece directly on the camera, this piece on here, and put another one on the power bank. And now if someone kind of bumps into my camera setup, these will just break away and not damage my power bank or my camera. And I can still mount this with a 1/4 and a 3/8 onto a tripod. This isn't necessarily lighter because I'm going with a bigger power bank, but I also wanted one with a metal outside so that nothing melted when I epoxied this together. But this is kind of my smaller, more compact-ish setup without a full-on cage. Are my ports protected? No. So if I'm going to be running anything over the micro HDMI, I'm going to use the cage. If I'm running basically any time I'm doing kind of a production, I'm going to use the cage. But if I am just walking around a town and filming 8K 60 for stock footage, this might be a little less conspicuous, I think, maybe, than the cage. And I can still wear this around my neck with the Peak Design neck strap. Is this totally ridiculous? Probably. But at least I feel like I'm a little less conspicuous this setup. And I still kind of get like a second hand grip. Not really. I don't know. I think this will be, oh, I've got the camera and now I need a power bank really quick. I can put the bigger power bank and the clamp on the bottom of the camera and still run. And honestly, Core SWX is making a V-mount battery that also mounts on the bottom, very similar to an Anton Bauer battery that's out right now, but the Anton Bauer one doesn't have power delivery. The Core SWX one will. But that battery costs like $280, and this was a $50 power bank, a $20 clamp, a $5 cheese plate, a $5 cable, and $20 worth of breakaway USB-C ends. So I think I still kept this under $100 for all day battery life in 8K 60 recording. Now, if I'm just vlogging and I'm only recording in 4K 24, maybe occasional 60, 120, I'll probably just carry around extra LPE6 batteries because in the MP4 4K 24 recording, I can get an hour out of an internal battery. People are talking about it like, oh, this battery, you put in the battery, you turn on the camera, and the camera dies. It is not great. But I've worked with cameras with worse battery life, and honestly, this does okay. I remember needing to carry like 3 Sony batteries in my pocket for my Alpha 6500. This is fine. This will be okay. Yes, it's annoying that we, in the past, used to get a day 3/4 of a day on a single LPE6, but I've already lived with something just as bad, if not worse. So it's not as much of a shock to me. And I can already hear what you're thinking, like, Kyle, why don't you just put the cage on some rails and put a V-mount battery on the back? And they got the little FX Lion ones and ZG Cine V-mount batteries that have power delivery. You can plug them right in. One, the whole reason why I wanted the R5C is the EVF, so I can put it up to my eye. I don't want rails on the back and a battery on the back, so I can't put the camera up to my eye and then block the screen. Although there is a kind of a cool like V-mount plate that like tilts, so you can flip the screen around and then put the plate back up. But I don't own any V-mount batteries. At work, we use gold mount batteries, and I don't want to invest in V-mount or gold mount block batteries. I like staying light and nimble, and honestly, this little power bank does like 85% of what I need it to. So I think I'm gonna get another one of these and another one of these clamps, and I'm gonna be set. So, do you have an R5C? Are you planning on getting an R5C? How are you going to rig it out? Leave a comment below, and I'm gonna try to find Amazon links for everything we talked about here. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe, hit like, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.